How's it going? Ryan here, and I'm going to review a few trades that I took today. Another red day for me. Some trades that I took went against my rules, and I resulted in a loss because of that. Some trades that I took followed my rules pretty well, and I took a loss regardless. So, some mistakes were made, some plays just didn't work out, and we'll dive into that here shortly. So, we have had a series of choppy days. You can see by these daily candles, the bodies are pretty small, wicks are long. That usually indicates not a trending day, but one where we're swinging all over the place. You can also see on the daily chart there's some lower volume days comparatively. Whatever it may be, it has been difficult for me to trade personally. There are opportunities in the market. People are still making money. There still are opportunities. I'm trying to dial in a system in terms of rules to follow and patterns to watch out for. And I think that for me, it's hard to dial in that system while we're in a choppy market. With that being said, though, the mistakes are all my own. Always room to learn. And that's what we look to do right here. So we'll hop into the 1 hour chart, look at some of the levels I was watching, talk about what happened. First of all, we have the high and the low of yesterday's trading day, so Monday's high and low of day. We also have a little bit of a zone. As you can see, both at the high, we made a sharp decline. At the bottom, we made a sharp bounce from that level. So both of these areas were identified as areas of supply and demand. So those were not only the high of day, but also sharp moves originating out of those areas. So supply and demand mixed with a high and low of day. Those were definitely some areas I was looking at. I also marked the pre-market high. I marked the pre-market low. And some other levels that didn't play any role because we happened to stay in a pretty choppy range all day. And those happened to be some areas 455 and 454. Just common whole round numbers that we've kind of been trending around. As you can see, it's been 455 and 454 respectively have been resistance turned support upon breaking, support turned resistance upon breaking. So those are some areas that I was watching as we were falling in the pre-market, opening right around the low of yesterday. I thought that we might see a break down out of this range and maybe continue downwards. So those were the levels I was watching if that were to occur, which it did not. And these yellow or golden levels that you see here, those were marked as intraday price levels, swing highs, swing lows from the trading session that were made on the 5-minute chart. That being said, I'm going to dive into the 5-minute chart and we'll look at what happened here. So we had been trending down. We bounced off this low of yesterday's kind of demand zone. So we had a bounce. We came back, broke through it, made a new lower low in the pre-market, which is marked. Came back and opened right in this area, right in this demand. It was demand. Once we break and come back up to it, you kind of assume that it will act as supply until it breaks back through and gets above it again. So right off the open, I was a little indecisive in terms of taking a trade. I wanted to see how things played out, whether we came to the downside or established an uptrend before I made any sort of move. You can see we bounced. We came down and set a low pretty much right exactly at 456.05, which happened to be the low of yesterday's trading session. So we got a bounce off that level pretty perfectly, which started this brief uptrend. So I didn't mark this level as it was already marked, but as we came up and set this high, I marked that level, 456.94. That was just the swing high off the open. we came down and set a low. So this was a higher high, a higher low. I marked that swing low that we bounced off of from here. What I was looking for was a break above the recent high and a retest and continuation upwards. Because we were in the range of yesterday's candle, I did expect us to possibly have some choppier moves. And however, if we did prove that we were setting new highs, higher lows, I would like to trade with that trend, even if it was within the range of yesterday's kind of high and low. So that's what got me. I broke a rule on this trade, and had I followed my rules, I wouldn't have taken the trade, and it would have prevented me a loss. What I took was a bounce off of the previous high. So we had broken above it, we were coming down, testing this area, and I took a call here. I have a trading rule that I made for myself that says at least one candle close to confirm what I'm looking for, whether that's, a bounce or a rejection. And what I mean by that is, for example, this is a pretty good example here, and this is actually, we'll get to it, but I did take this trade down here. But as we're coming down into the pre-market low, you can see we have we do have the highest volume candle that we've printed all day. As we come down, test a little bit below this level and pull right back up. On subsequent candle, we come down, make a higher low, and pull back up when you show some buyers. So something like that shows that there's a candle closing confirming a bounce could happen at this level. It's never guaranteed, but the high volume, the thought that it hit this level, couldn't break below it and pulled back, this is a key level that we're watching, that kind of lets me think that that trade would be a higher probability. So this one up here did not have that. We hadn't bounced off this level or failed to close below it. So I had no indication that this level would hold other than it was just a previous high. So that was my first mistake. I did set a stop loss right in this area, so we did close out pretty quickly, and I'm glad we did because we sold off really fast after that. One thing that I was looking at, and I even marked this level as we set that high, and it never really occurred to me until I looked back on the chart today, after I stepped away from the day for trading, that we had, and I'll zoom out a little bit so we can see this better, but as we came up and fell from this area in the pre-market, we had one bounce. And where did we top out before falling lower? Right here. So while it's not the pre-market high, it's not the pre-market low, to me, I think it is valid to at least recognize this level as a swing. We bounced, we had a swing upwards of, over $1, and then we continued this move down. So I should have been watching this area coming into the day. I didn't mark it. I marked the high, I marked the low, I marked yesterday's high and low. And that was, I assume, maybe complacency on my part. If I'm looking at areas before a day of trading, I like to look on like a 15-minute or 1-hour chart and look for areas of sharp moves. So up here you can see sharp moves are coming out of these areas of supply and demand. And I think it's fairly reasonable to look at this as one of those areas as well. Because we had this swing, we came up and we rejected sharply off that area on a higher time frame. So this is an area that I should have been watching. I think it was just negligence on my part to just not even really care about it. I don't know why. But that was also a mistake. So my first trade, had I been paying attention to that area, this swing high right here, this would have been a glorious trade. We came up, we pushed above it, and we pulled way back on really high volume as well. We did bounce, we did come up and test this area. This is at 8 o'clock where we had data releasing. So I didn't want to trade until after this candle closed. But I think it would have still benefited me to be watching this level, or at least be aware of it during the trading day, which I was not, but we failed to break that same exact area, and that would have presented an excellent trade had you taken it. You can also see didn't mean to do that. I have a trend line here, and we broke that, so there was never any retest of the trend line, which would normally be what I look for, is a break and a retest of supply and demand trend, etc. But yeah, I tried to take a call here and got stopped out. That was my first losing trade of the day. Made two mistakes here, not being aware of this pre-market level, and not having any sort of confirmation in terms of the move that I was looking for here. My second trade of the day was a bounce down here. We came down, I saw this extremely high volume candle. I saw this reluctance to break break below the pre-market low. I saw kind of the price action that we got in this area in the pre-market before we bounced into the open. This candle came down, tested this area. I got in a call at the bottom here, and I sold on this next candle. I was targeting 456, but as we were coming up, we started to have these longer wicks up top, and we had decreasing volume as we were pushing up. So I got out on this candle somewhere up in here, just short of 456. I took 456 calls, so they did move pretty nice in that short amount of area, about 50 cents or less, especially because I didn't take it all the way. So I got maybe about a 40-cent move. Moved pretty well for me. And I was down a few dollars on the day. And this is where I broke some rules again. I took a put at the retest of this area. It was a swing low on our move up. We broke right through it on this sell-off. And as we bounced and we were approaching this level, so I was watching 456 because I thought I would take this call here, and I was expecting maybe a rejection as we had broken below this and a continuation down, especially with all the strength we had to the downside. However, I noticed that we closed, so we'd never tested the level exactly, so these weren't like confirmation for me. This candle did close above 456, so I didn't enter any puts here. So my rules saved me on a losing trade here. They didn't save me here. As we pushed up, we looked to test this previous low, this previous swing low. We touched it, came back down, and failed to break above it. So that was kind of my one candle close confirmation that puts at this level, if we come up and test it again, would be a valid trade. I set my stop loss somewhere up in here, and as you can see, we came up, hit my stop loss, and wicked down to 456-ish area. I can't say if I would have sold at this area. I think I at least would have moved my stop loss down to break even and tried to let it play out. But I got stopped out on that trade. It swung a bit higher than I expected, and I got stopped out. So that doesn't hurt me. I was following my own rules, and it just didn't work for me. The next trade, however, as we came up and approached this level again, and one thing that I want to notice that also is dictating this decision is look at the volume. So as we bounce, we sell off on the highest volume all day. As we bounce, we come up on continuously decreasing volume as well. So I didn't think this move up had much gas, and I was looking for a rejection at a previous level. So I took puts again on this candle here, and I sized up. I went for 2 contracts. I got stopped out somewhere up here in this candle. So that was a bigger loss than I wanted to take. That was 20-something dollars in one loss. I had about a $10 loss up here. I think I had I don't know. It wasn't much of a gain. It was $7, $8 or something on this trade. So I was down about $3. I took a loss here of about another $10. So I was down like 13. Took a loss of like 20 something up here. So I was down, I don't know, close. I think I was close to 50, somewhere around there. I'll have to look. But yeah, that was kind of the end of my day in terms of looking for trades here. I think something to make note of or to remember for later is can't be mad at myself at taking puts that follows my plan. We have lower low, we have a downtrend, we're making a lower high, we're testing a previous area, we fail to break above it, we have decreasing volume. All those things kind of play into my rules, so I'm not mad about taking a loss there. And even if I did, trim exactly at the bottom, that's not that much. It's a 40-cent move or so, 30-cent move. So ideally, I get something more than that. I'm not sure I even would have taken profit. I probably would have got stopped at break even here if I had remained in that trade. So nothing I can do about that. I think other than just acknowledge that we were trading within this bottom band pretty much the whole day. We broke up to the upside at the beginning, broke down, but after that we just kind of bounced around. We did respect some of the levels that we printed early in the morning in terms of highs and lows. But overall, just if you could scalp some of these moves, there was some predictable movement, but I didn't really play that. So I was looking for bigger moves, maybe bigger continuations aside from this bounce that I kept short because it was counter to the trend. Yeah, and I got burnt. So mistakes made, no confirmation here. This played out all right, nothing wrong there. This played out okay. I just got stopped out, so maybe considering stop loss positioning, but that was like a 20-cent swing from where I got in. Which if I had a risk higher than that and the reward is 30 cents, it's not even, it's like a 1-to-1 risk to reward, which isn't a very good trade to take in the first place. So I don't think I would want my stop loss to be higher than where it was when I got stopped out here. That wouldn't have even been really worth it on the risk to reward. Made a mistake here of sizing up on the same trade that I just got burnt on. I sized up and took an even bigger loss. That's a mistake on my part. So yeah, a couple of mistakes. Also didn't make note of this pre-market swing level. So that's where I went wrong today. It's been, I think, emotionally taxing, I'll say, to now have had 4 red days in a row. I don't want that to be like some streak that I'm keeping tally of, but it is the facts. I've had 4 consecutive losing days, and I'd lie if I said that doesn't probably play into my psychology as I'm trading. I still try to take trades I believe in, manage my risk. I didn't do great at that today, but I think I also need to add in just experience, knowledge, understanding, and maybe the wisdom or the willpower to walk away when we have a day like this instead of trying to trade it. There was moves to be made. I missed them for the most part, but like I said, account's not blown. I took another loss. We're down, but we'll be back. And as always, I do trade Monday through Friday, every day live. I also make these recaps trying to understand why the market did what it did, why I traded how I traded, where I went wrong, maybe the things that I did right, and try to just really talk through it, walk through it, digest it, understand it, so that I can hopefully become a better day trader and get to the goal of profitability. As you can see, I'm a long way from that right now. I've had a bad streak. I'm in a bit of a rut, but I try to approach each day, and I will approach tomorrow as a new day and try to wipe my mind clear of that and just, come into it with a clear mind and just don't rush into anything and follow my rules, and that's all I can hope to do. But with that being said, that's all I have for today. I appreciate you if you made it this far. Thank you for tuning in. I'd love to see you stop by one of my streams, say what's up. But yeah, it's a learning journey, and if losing is learning, I'm doing a lot of learning. with that being said, I hope you have a great day. Thank you again for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.